In less than 2 weeks, we could learn the fate of a bitter legal battle between the county and the city over a campaign ordinance. And that ordinance is a $30,000 cap on transfers and contributions from candidates' campaign account from a non-county elective race. The county filed a motion for declaratory relief. City Council members Gary Bredefeld and Luis Chavez then countered with an anti-SLAPP lawsuit, saying the ordinance is unconstitutional. The first court date is set for May 4th. So let's dive into this and a couple of other city-county feuds on the table now. Councilman Carbasi and Supervisor Brandow back with me. All right, guys. Supervisor, I want to start with you because obviously you're going against Gary Bredefeld in this race. Do you genuinely believe the county ordinance is true and fair as a democratic election ordinance after you saw the anti-SLAPP lawsuit against the county?
Yeah, absolutely I do, because I was there when that ordinance was crafted, and we were trying to give more leeway, more people the ability to bring more to the table. For instance, the city of Fresno has a much lower limit that somebody can bring to the table. We increased it to $30,000. That was the concept we were working under. Now, at that time, we didn't know that we were going to be challenged by former friends, right? And so I understand their viewpoint. The county's viewpoint is, let's let a judge decide it. I'm not an attorney. Let's let a judge hear this case. Councilman, do you agree with your council colleagues that this campaign ordinance is really a violation of their freedom of speech, their First Amendment right?
Well, I don't have a bone in this fight. I think it is absolutely where it belongs, with a judge. We can debate all we want, but I'm looking forward to the ruling. We can just move on.
And just to be clear here, I'm trying to remember, you did endorse...
I did.
Steve Brandow, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So you're not going back on that, are you?
No.
I just maybe thought since you're both here.
I don't believe in doing that. I can go back on that.
Supervisor, the anti-SLAPP lawsuit, though, it is really being funded by Bredefeld and Chavez, their campaigns, right? The declaratory relief motion, though, that's using taxpayer funds. Is that fair to the taxpayer? Well, this happens all the time. The county made that decision unanimously as a body of 5 elected officials, right? So when it gets challenged, we didn't know at the time it was getting challenged. Now it's been challenged. It doesn't fall on me to defend. It's not about me. It's not about this race or this cycle. It's about what the county believes should be the proper regulations moving forward. So we're gonna fight that SLAPP with county funds. Well, let me ask you both this. Do you think the judge's outcome will determine the outcome of those races?
Well, I think it's a big calculation how you can move your money, and I think it'll have an effect. But I think my colleagues are pretty determined, and we will see what happens. But you know, you had a supervisor on here a couple weeks ago, and I've learned you have to wait and see who actually files. You never know what happens. Things can change. People can decide they're going to retire, and it opens up whole races. So.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it's going to make a big impact on the outcome. You know, so I'm not unwilling to say that it's going to make or break any one campaign or candidacy. If the judge rules in Chavez and Bredefeld's favor here, will the county then do what to that ordinance? Will it eliminate the ordinance altogether? Yeah, well, I'll be more clear on that if the judge makes that decision, but that will be, the judge's decision is what we'll stand by. Right. And then we might have to modify that in some form for the future, because we have concerns about that. But certainly we're going to live by whatever the judge wants. So quite frankly, Alex, that's where the county's at right now. Nobody's even talking about it at the county. Let the judge decide. But we're talking about it. Yes, we are. But at the county, yeah. I want to get to Measure C, because this is something, listen, the city and the county have really been feuding over. There was a bitter feud in that 11th hour. We all remember in the last election cycle when the city wanted to recalibrate the funds distributed between the city and those other little, the county islands, if you will, from the other areas. Did that ultimately hurt the outcome? And again, it needs a super majority. It received like 58% if I'm not mistaken. So Measure C. Where are we at? Are we far apart? Are we close on this?
I think most of the council voted to support Measure C.
Well, yes, they did, but again, there was...
And I understand that, and I think ultimately, after all these storms we've had, there's going to be even more pressure on us to get these potholes repaired, and that's what I'm committed to, working on a funding source to do that, and I'm willing to work with anybody that's going to help me accomplish that for my district.
Maybe Mother Nature helped us decide, but...
Yeah, I think at the 59th minute of the 11th hour, the city of Fresno, with some other folks, did an end run around the county. They lost my support. Then the No on C campaign then in turn used some of my quotes to nuke to tear down the message in November, and it failed. So did it make an impact? My vantage point, yes.
Let me add, the economy was in really bad shape at the time. I mean, people were really worried post-pandemic. Measure M, our veterans measure, didn't even pass.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything would be able to pass
Well,
that time.
let's look forward here to 2024 because, again, one of the big proponents of that and one of the big arguments was community engagement. Again, there wasn't enough of it according to several advocacy groups. And that was a big controversy. Moving forward, will there be a little bit more open and transparent discussions, or will it be the same?
Well, there was a lot of community engagement. Now, I think if you're not getting what you want out of it, you're going to say that. And I work with some of these groups on some things we do with the San Joaquin River Conservancy, and they do good work there. But the reality is they've engaged, the committee engaged in a lot of advocacy, and they were effective. They were able to get it blocked to a certain extent.
Yeah, and so I'm not buying in that there was no community engagement.
Okay.
I'm on the Transportation Authority. There was tons of engagement.
I want to leave us with this because this is now something that is really a hot button issue. Valley Assemblyman Joaquin Arambula introducing a couple of bills designed to reshape the governing boards of government institutions traditionally controlled by local elected officials, and that has to do with Measure C. It's called the Transportation Improvement Act. It would add 4 additional unelected board members to the agency that oversees Measure C. So instead of 9, and you're actually on that board, correct? Okay. It would now become like a 13-member committee, 7 elected members, 6 unelected members. Does this help Measure C get passed, or is this another, I guess, a hurdle?
I personally believe it will guarantee Measure C will fail. So I think the extension is probably to take away what Measure C was intended to do, which is to be a roads tax for local roads, right? All the advocates and activists.
It's not good to kind of have an even.
The devil is in the details, and it depends on who gets on that, who gets appointed. But I've seen the positions that have been created, and they're basically asking the activists and advocates to be entered in on to the board.
Where do you stand on it?
Look, I'd like more time to review it and really think of the implications, but I will say this. When you have elected representatives making decisions, we are elected by people, and we may come from Kerman, or we may come from Fresno, or we may come from Biola, but we come together and make decisions. There is no greater representation of people than the people elected. You may not like the mix and the whatever the synergy they have, but that's democracy.
All right. I think we had a pretty good conversation here. Supervisor Brandow, Councilman Carbasi, thank you guys so much.